everybody. It's Ron Bass with another edition of the Ron Bass Show. It's your source for inspiration, encouragement, motivation, humor, particularly dry humor with Mr. Brent Atterbury.
Good to see you today,
sir.
Glad you're here today.
Thank you. Glad to be anywhere today.
Because if you weren't here, we wouldn't be able to have a podcast.
We wouldn't be able to have the podcast.
And we are trying something
different.
Yeah, we're going to try, the lighting's a little different, so we're going to see what it looks like as a produced podcast.
Well, that's cool, but what about the people that aren't seeing us, that are listening to us? How does that go?
They're having a visual in their mind of it being a little bit darker than it normally is.
I got you. You know, I never think about it because I'm so used to seeing YouTube, but a lot of our listeners are just listening to us on the audio. And I don't think about that too often. I don't think about a lot of things too often.
Well, you need to turn your brain on.
I know. When you get old, everything slows down a little bit.
Keep it on.
So speaking of your brain, speaking of thinking, I'm at the gym today watching and paying attention to other people in the gym. And one of my friends, he's a martial artist, has a school in Republic, Missouri, which is about 10 minutes from our school. We had a really nice long talk today about his work, his business, his life. He's been doing martial arts. I think he started with kung fu, kickboxing, striking, and kicks, and
wow.
And was did a lot of fighting. His first 10 or 15 years, and then the last 15 years he's been doing jiu-jitsu. So he's got about a 30-plus year career already in the martial arts world. And we were talking today about aches and pains and his hands hurt, and this. And he said, "How about you? How are you feeling?" I said, "I feel great." I said, "I've got aches and pains too. I got knees that hurt." And he says, "Well, how's that going to work?" I said, "Well, they want to replace them, but it's like takes a year really for the process. I'm not sure I want to go through that, but I may have to. At least the opportunity is there if you have to do it. Technology is available. There's probably a time where that wasn't the case, and people just had to suffer to the end. But if it gets too bad, I'll just have to do it." In any event, we had a really nice talk, and he's so upbeat, and he's so happy that he's got this very successful martial arts gym. He had like 50 kids in his gym the other night in class.
Wow.
Like 50 plus kids. That means he's probably got 100 kids that are enrolled, because typically only about half to a third of your students actually show up and train. And that's just his kids' class. And I'm talking with him, and I'm saying, this is why we have to be in the gym every day. We have to be fit, mentally and physically fit, in order to be able to handle our responsibilities, in order to supply the leadership that people expect from us. And I'm talking about myself as well, in my role in business and in my school and the friendships that I have. It's like I said, look, man, we don't have the option. We have to always be ahead of the curve and stay ahead of be above the fray, because people are looking to us for leadership. And I say this to our audience: if you're in a leadership position as a parent, as a teacher, as a leader in your work or your business, you have to be selfless. You have to recognize that you're the guy, and people are looking to you for leadership and knowledge and comfort, and you have to be. You don't have the option of not being 100% every day. You have to be up to speed all the time. And it's just the way it works. God charges certain people with these responsibilities. This is kind of the conversation I was having with my friend at the gym today. And pass that on to our audience and our podcast. If you're not in a leadership position, okay, but probably one of these days you're going to be in that position. And when you are, it's really, really important that you follow the rules, stay sober, work out, get some rest. Keep good people in your life, guys. Don't be hanging out with bad people. It is going to bring you down. If you've got a bad relationship with a spouse, either fix it or get the heck out, man, because I see it all day long. It just ruins so many lives. Speaking of statistics, though, they say that 70% of all relationships outside of marriage fail. Now think about that number.
70% of all
female-male relationships, like romantic relationships,
Okay.
end badly. End. That's 7 out of 10 couples that we know that aren't married at some point goes bad. That's a big number.
It is.
Okay, here's another number.
They haven't found the right one.
Well, that's what they say. There's only 30% left to find
Who
the
is
right
they?
one. They are the experts.
Okay.
Yeah, who are they?
I always wondered who they were.
It makes you wonder.
Uh-oh.
Maybe it's something just made. We got storms going.
Thunder.
Thunder and lightning. So here's another crazy number. Crazy numbers. 50% of first-time marriages fail. 60% of second-time marriages fail. And last but not least, 70% of third-time marriages fail. So I guess the more times you get married, the worse the chances are it's going to work. How crazy is that?
So how do you go the other direction?
I don't know. These are like very recent statistics. Speaking of statistics, I'm talking to one of my coaches last night. He's been sick. He's a young guy, and he's having trouble keeping food down. So he's always throwing up. It's uncomfortable to eat. Anyway,
Yuck.
he goes to the hospital yesterday, an emergency room, and they said, okay, yeah, your esophagus is got a problem, and it's closing or it closes, or so the food has a hard time going down, and it irritates. That's why you throw up. That's why you're not getting all the food down. That's why it's hard to eat. That's why you don't want to eat. So now you're weak, you're tired, you're not getting nutrients, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, well, okay. And we were talking. He was vaping. I said, well, that's probably not helping you either. And he goes, oh, well, all these new numbers that come out, and they do this because it's new. They're going to be critical. I said, no, man. It's like, and then my other coach was like, oh yeah, nicotine's really good for you. I said, oh my God, where do you come up with this stuff? He said, well, in its true form, it does have some benefits. So I looked it up. It has some short-term benefit, but when you're smoking cigarettes or vaping, it's horrible for what it does to the body. It's obvious. But I say that to say this. It just shows you how people rationalize poor behavior. These are people that are in leadership roles. I love these guys, but they're setting horrible examples. Vaping, smoking pot, overeating. You can't do that and expect the people that are following you to benefit from that. It's going to be the opposite of that.
Yeah.
It just bothers me. And I'm not like trying to be negative, but at the same time, it's like, come on, man. At least be honest about it. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about and want to argue with me. It's stupid. It's pretty obvious that
because you're right.
I am right. About those things, anyway. All right. And look, I'm not a hypocrite. I used to smoke. I used to smoke pot. I used to vape. I used to smoke cigarettes. I used to take 2 pills. I know all these things because I did all these things, and I know what it took to get away from them, and it wasn't easy. And so when I talk to people about it, I'm not a hypocrite. I know that it's going to be hard for you to put these habits down, but you have to do that if you want to have a successful life. It's like we're a slave to these habits. I see people vaping and smoking and taking nicotine pills and lozenges and man, come on. I'm with one of my friends the other night, and him and his wife, and they're at the grocery store. This is like 10:30 at night, and everybody's gathering up food, more food. And I said, look, have you ever noticed how obsessed we are with food? Like, it's not like we're getting healthy food here. We're eating cookies and donuts and fudge bars, and
it's because they're good.
I understand that, but I'm thinking
they taste good.
Yes, but that's the problem. It's like, how healthy is all this stuff? Come on, man.
No.
And we're all trying to set these great examples for everybody. And here we're in the back, like behind the scenes, behind the curtain, we're doing bad things, and that's hypocritical. I was having fun with it, but that's bad. But it's not nearly as bad as smoking pot, taking pills, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes. That's much worse than bad eating habits. Although a nutritionist would probably say, oh, no, that's really bad. I get it. But if you sleep and you work out and you have some bad eating habits, I think you're still going to feel pretty good. You may wind up with some medical issues. But speaking of medical issues, I have 3 friends in the hospital. Not to belabor the point about bad health, and what gets you there, but guess what they all 3 have in common? Just guess.
They all did marijuana smoking, vaping, and drinking.
No.
Okay.
But they're all very overweight.
Oh, okay.
So my one friend had stroke-like symptoms. And he's very overweight. And he said with diet and exercise and medication, they think they can resolve it. He's got blockages in his brain. What does that mean? I mean, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's the smaller arteries. I mean, you're going to
have be artery issues, right?
Yeah, you're going to have a stroke if it's total blockage.
So it's got to be diet, probably, right? I mean, it might not be, but probably, right?
I have blockage in my brain sometimes where I can't think.
You're preaching to the choir. So that's one example. The other, so they're all 3 overweight.
Yeah.
And my other friend, he couldn't breathe. He's spitting up blood. It turned out to be the heart's not working properly, so the lungs fill up with fluid and that kind of stuff. So that's another overweight, bad nutrition, bad eating habits, in my opinion, problem. And he's going to be able to resolve all that now with diet and exercise. And you know, the problem is these guys are old. They're not super old, but they're 45,
they're older
55,
than us.
60. Yeah, no.
Oh.
They're not young.
Oh, okay.
And it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So you got to start young, guys. If you're young, get into the habit of all the things we talk about. Go to the gym. Make sure you get a good night's rest. Keep good company. If you're going to eat bad occasionally. Don't eat bad every day. Going to eat donuts, eat them once in a while. Don't eat them all the time, right? Sugar is a problem. It is a problem. I saw a guy the other day online. He was like bedridden, like 750 pounds. Yeah, and he was trying this and he was trying that. Nothing was working. And I'm thinking, maybe it's too late. I mean, when you're have that much weight, I don't know, man. I don't know if you can ever really get that off of you or not. I think it's too late. Maybe not, but I'd say the odds are pretty horrible. Any rate, I'll shut up about all this, and I want to talk about another subject. One of our subscribers sent me a message, and she said, can you talk about dealing with bad friendships and how to get through that? Okay. Well,
talk about bad relationships and how to get through it.
Bad friendships. She was very specific.
Okay.
So I've got a lot of experience in this area. I recently had a pretty close friend of mine do something that wasn't very pleasant, sort of a disrespectful thing. And I've learned to just have really thick skin and keep trucking, man. So the short answer to what you're asking is you just have to deal with the uncomfortableness of it and recognize that it's their problem, not yours. And maybe it's for the best, particularly if it's somebody that is causing you uncomfortableness and disappointing you and not being reliable, et cetera, et cetera. So the best thing, the way to look at it in my mind is, hey, it's probably a good thing that you got away from that person. Now, that may not make you feel better at the moment, but in the long term, you're going to be better off than to be around people that are causing you harm. It's just not worth it, man. And then try to find good people in your life. I recently had an experience with somebody that I tried to be a really good friend to somebody, and they're just so difficult to be around that I said to myself, you know what, I'm not going to be around that person anymore. I'm just not. They're just too difficult. They're too self-centered. They're not cordial. They're disrespectful. And you know what? I tried my best to get away from that person, and that person keeps coming back around and couldn't be nicer now. So it makes you wonder if maybe sometimes there's self-reflection, and people recognize that they're screwing up and they want to make it right. And I'll be around anybody if they're cool, but if they're not cool, I don't want to be around them, because it just brings you down, and it's just not worth it.
Well, the question was, how do I get through this bad friendship? So it sounds like they're wanting to make an effort to stay friends with this individual. So, the first thing that comes to my mind is, I don't know, the term bad has probably multiple definitions to different people, but I think it's important that you be honest with them and share with them what's going on. If it's hurting your feelings, or if they're lying, you need to be truthful. You need to call them out on it. And if they don't respect you to try and improve themselves around you, then yes, you do need to escape. But I think trying to get through it means you've got to be honest. You've got to speak up and share what is bothering you and why it hurts you, or why they're disrespecting you or lying to you, whatever it is.
Okay.
But you got to at least try that if you're wanting to try and get through it.
Okay.
You're probably right in most cases. Some people just will not change, or will not change how they treat people or act, and you got to exit stage left.
Life's too short, man, to be unhappy. I'm just saying.
Wasn't that Snagglepuss?
Something like that. I see way too many people stick around these relationships that are so negative.
Yeah.
It just ain't worth it, man. Get away. Be alone. You're better off to be alone is to be around people that are going to bring you down. Because, look, if you're ambitious and you want to accomplish certain things, set goals and work hard, and then you're distracted constantly because of a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a wife or an employer or whatever, whoever it is, coach. I've had coaches that were just so horrible. I had to get away. And it's like the weight of the world's off your shoulders when that happens. You feel like a human being again. It's not worth it, guys. You have to do something about it. Yes, it's uncomfortable. I get it. But that's beside the point. You have to do what you have to do to have some peace of mind. I think that's what they're really trying to say, is that how to get through it, meaning like, how do I get through the hurt part of it? How do I get to the point where I'm not unhappy about it anymore? And of course, the old saying, time heals everything. But if you keep entering back into these relationships, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it's no good. It's going to keep repeating itself over and over and over again. There's an old saying, like, what's the saying about a bad penny? A bad penny keeps coming back, or like you're like a bad penny.
That
like
must be a really old saying. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard they were going to discontinue pennies.
What?
Yes.
No way.
They said it costs like 5 cents to make a penny, and it's only worth a penny.
Man,
and they said
I want to put my 2 cents worth in.
2 cents worth.
That's an old saying. It's like, that means I want to express my opinion.
Yes.
It's an old saying too. Well, and that's a pretty deep subject.
It is.
Deep subject.
Yep.
Okay. Have we bored everybody enough, you think?
I'm not sure. You could probably bore some more if you want.
What's some breaking news?
Oh, breaking news? Well, boy, it's funny how sometimes I pick something that you're spot on with the topic of the day or something.
That's
but
funny.
You talk about don't hang out with people that are going to drag you down, bring you down, help keep you from getting to your goals. Well, there's a new study out that talks about how kissing can actually spread depression and anxiety.
Kissing can help spread?
It may be. The study shows that depression and anxiety may be transmissible through kissing.
What?
And here's why. It says that depression and anxiety can trigger the release of a stress hormone called cortisol, which can disrupt the delicate balance of bacteria in your mouth. So,
What?
this study that was done, and they said, let's see, it can be transferred in just one 10-second kiss.
Man, I don't like this. That's
Says
not cool.
the authors that one spouse had poor mental health and trouble sleeping. The healthy partner suffered similar symptoms after just 6 months, and the bacteria was to blame. So, don't hang out with people that have bad bacteria that are depressed and have anxiety, because if you guys kiss,
Oh my!
I'm just telling you, the study
gosh.
says. So,
I have to think about that one.
also, today is National Cheese Day. So if you like cheese, or if you're cheesy, if you're a cheesy kind of person, like our humor is sometimes cheesy.
Yeah, cheesy.
Today is the national day to celebrate. It's also National Hug Your Cat Day.
Oh my God!
I don't have a cat,
I
but
don't
if you
either.
have one, hug your cat.
Okay.
And this one I really don't understand, but it's National Old Maids Day. So I don't know what an old maid is, but today, if you're an old maid, you need to celebrate.
I think an old maid is a woman that never got married
Okay.
and never had children. She's an
Okay.
old maid.
Okay.
I don't know where that comes from. But
Okay. So they
I guess
need to
that's a
celebrate.
fear that a lot of women have, that they're not going to bear children.
I don't think so much anymore.
You don't. I would think that most women that I know seems like they want to have children. Like that. Like that's their. They were charged with that. Like that's part of their DNA. You don't think so?
Well, I know my generation is that way. Yes, I know a lot of women, but me too. I wanted to have kids. Of course, I can't have kids because I'm a male, not a female. But I wanted my wife to have kids with me.
And you
did.
did.
And we did. Yes. So.
So that's a mixed blessing, I assume.
It is. It's great.
It's great.
It's great.
Oh, it's not. It's not like, okay, that's cool.
No. It's awesome.
So, the kissing thing, I don't understand that. I guess it all comes down to be careful who you kiss. You want to kiss people that are not depressed.
That's right.
Kiss people that are not anxious. Only kiss people that are upbeat and progressive. Oh my God.
Shoo.
So before you kiss somebody, they need to fill out a questionnaire.
Yes.
And if they're depressed, man, don't kiss them.
I need to test your
get away
cortisol.
You got to get away from them right away. That's an interesting analysis. I would never have thought that to be the case.
Now, it's a study, so it's not a fact.
I
It's
get
just
it.
a study.
But where there's smoke, there's probably fire. That's an old
Just
saying.
saying.
Speaking of smoke and
Do you wanna-
fire, I read that this guy went crazy and threw Molotov cocktails at people the other day in Boulder, Colorado, at a peaceful event. There was all this anti-Jewish, anti-Semitism going everywhere. That's crazy. The Gaza thing, the Israel thing. It's a bad scene. And everybody loses. It's just like
nobody wins.
Nobody wins. So much death and destruction, and man, I'll tell you, there's just some crazy stuff going on in the world. Russia and Ukraine and Israel and the Gaza thing, and Israel's just a little bitty country over there, and they're surrounded by all these people that hate them. I don't know, man. That would be a tough place to live.
I think you find that in every country. The hate with one religion or race. So
There's always got to be a scapegoat. There's always got to be somebody that you have to blame for your not being happy. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of the way that's the way discrimination and prejudice works. It's like, you're the reason why I'm not who I want to be. I'm going to blame you. You're the cause. And it's just psychology. It's like that makes people feel better if they can put somebody else down. I think a lot of it's just being brought up in a home where there's so much hate. And so when a kid's 18, 19, 20,
Mm-hmm.
15, 20 years old, it's just brainwashed. He's just like, yeah, I hate you're black. I hate because you're Jewish. I hate because you're a woman. I hate because whatever. And it's hard to change that kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's so much prejudice in the world, in my opinion. It's a learned trait to be prejudiced, to be not like somebody because of their race or their color or their religion or whatever. Any rate, guys, we could talk negative all day, but we don't do it. We want to talk positive.
Yes. Hug your cat today.
Hug your cat today.
And celebrate it for an old maid.
And don't kiss a depressed person. Before you kiss anybody, have them fill out a questionnaire. That's my suggestion for today. All right, well, look, up until that time, just remember this. Eventually, if you don't give up, stars are going to line up. Mm-hmm. And you know what happens when that happens?
Oh, good things.
Good things. And just remember, the key is to stay the course. Work hard. Be consistent. And above and beyond, and more important than anything, is to never give up. Ever, 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 ever give up on yourself. Ooh, speaking of goals and...
Wow, the timing couldn't be better.
Yeah, the train.
Yeah. Somebody hit their goal.
Somebody hit their goal.
Yep.
So guys, just remember, always keep your chin up and stay positive.